Saraswati Deve Gauravani Vracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3, chapter 30, text 9. Graheshu kutatarneshu dukha tantreshva atandritaha kurvan dukha pratikaram sukhaman manyate grahi. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Isopanisad Samishwa Prabhupada. The attached householder remains in his family life, which is full of diplomacy and politics, always spreading miseries and controlled by acts of sense gratification. He acts just to counteract the reactions of all his miseries. And if he can successfully counteract such miseries, he thinks that he is happy. In Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead himself certifies the material world as an impermanent place that is full of miseries. So Krishna tells to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita that this material world is dukkhalayam ashasvatam. Dukkhalayam, full of miseries, ashasvatam, temporary. You know, we think that this is our permanent place. We think that the body we are in is our permanent identity. But all this is the covering of Maya, as we have been reading in the past few days. So there's no question of happiness in this material world, either individually or in terms of family, society, or country. So Krishna is not a depressed person, and that's the reason he's saying, you know, usually we say, oh, you're not happy means you're depressed. What's wrong with you? No, he's just merely stating the fact. You know, he's just saying the fact. If something is going on in the name of happiness, that is also illusion. So does it mean that we should become depressed and think it's all dark? No. We do our prescribed duties, whatever we need to do, understanding that this is a temporary place. If here in the material world, happiness means successful counteraction of the effects of distress. The material world is so made that unless one becomes a clever diplomat, his life will be a failure. Not to speak of human society, even the society of lower animals, the birds and bees, cleverly manages its bodily demands of eating, sleeping, and mating. So Prabhupada would say, in the material world, our experience of happiness is like when we are holding a very heavy bag in our, say, for example, in our left hand. So we are holding it for some time and walking. And so after some time, it becomes too heavy to hold, because it's heavy. Then we shift it from the left hand to the right hand. So as soon as we shift it from the left to right, we feel an immediate relief. We say, oh, this is so good. Immediately we feel a relief because the left hand is not feeling the weight anymore and the right hand is not yet begun to feel tired. So Prabhupada would say that happiness in this material world is like that. It's just a temporary relief. Then in no time again, the right hand will start paining because, it's a heavy thing after. So that is how material life is. So human society competes nationally or individually, and in the attempt to be successful, the entire human society becomes full of diplomacy. We should always remember that in spite of all diplomacy and all intelligence, in the struggle for our existence, everything will end in a second by the Supreme Will. Therefore, all our attempts to become happy in this material world are simply a delusion offered by Maya. This is Lord Kapila Dev is giving this instruction to Devahuti because our mind keeps telling us, oh, right now I'm not happy, but if the situation changes, I will be happy. This is Maya, that, okay, currently it's not a very perfect situation, but if just this changes, I'm going to be happy. And so our whole life, we work with that mood all our energy is gone in that. Rather, instead, if we just give up that idea and say, I'm going to work for the pleasure of Krishna, whatever is my duty, whatever position I am in, I need to do the duty to the best of my ability for the pleasure of Krishna, then we can actually feel happiness. Because Krishna is the reservoir of happiness. He's the reservoir. So, like when we are thirsty, we go to the reservoir of water to drink water. If we want happiness, we go to Krishna. He's the reservoir, he's the source of all happiness. When we add Krishna to our lives, when we connect everything to Krishna, we automatically feel happy. So this is not for us to feel like, oh, we are doomed, or what is this, or it's such a depression. No, it's just for us to understand that this is not my permanent position. It's not my permanent position. This is still a journey. And this is my journey. And my permanent position is in the kingdom of God. Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So, Arther Apaditer Gurvaya Him Sayetas Tatas Chatan Pushnati Yesham Poshena Shesha Bhugyati Adha Swayam. He secures money by committing violence here and there. And although he employs it in the service of his family, he himself eats only a little portion of the food thus purchased, and he goes to hell for those for whom he earned the money in such an irregular way. There is a Bengali proverb: the person for whom I have stolen accuses me of being a thief. The family members for whom an attached person acts in so many criminal ways are never satisfied. You know, once Narad Muni, when he was going along, he came across Valmiki. That time Valmiki was a thief, murderer. He had, before he became Valmiki, he met him. And then Narad Muni told him, you know, why you're stealing, why you're committing all these murders, all these sinful activities. So Valmiki said, so because I need to maintain my family, I'm doing it for them. So then Narad Muni told him, but you know, ask them if they're going to share in the karma that you are creating, that you are doing such activities, and due to these activities, you're going to get some sinful reactions. So are they willing to share in those sinful reactions? So he went home and asked his wife, hey, I'm doing this for you, you know, to keep you happy and comfortable. Are you going to share in my sins? She said, no, wait, for what? Why should I do that? Same with his children. Then he went back to Narad Muni. And that's when Narad Muni instructed him, you know. So we indulge in so many activities out of our attachment. But if we ask the person who we are acting for that, oh, will you share in my sinful activity? That's something we need to check, you know, are they willing to share in our crime? In illusion, an attached person serves such family members, and by serving them, he is destined to enter into a hellish condition of life. So the laws of material nature are very stringent. The laws are set. We can't bribe, you know, we can't get our way through it, or we can't say, oh, you know, this happened and because of this, because of that. When we are sitting in the court of Yamaraj, if we say, hey, you know what, why did I do this wrong thing? Because of this one, I was attached to that one. Yamaraj is not going to listen to anything like this. He said the laws are set. For example, a thief steals something to maintain his family and he's caught and imprisoned. This is the sum and substance of material existence and attachment to material society, friendship, and love. So, because of our attachment, we need to, we may act in certain ways which are not correct. Although an attached family man is always engaged in getting money by hook or by crook for the maintenance of his family, he cannot enjoy more than what he could consume, even without such criminal activities. So, you know, we get carried away by the glitter, shimmer, that if I have more, I will enjoy. But we need to, and to do that, we may act in sinful ways. But that's not true. Whatever share we are supposed to enjoy, we will enjoy. We will enjoy. A man who eats 8 ounces of foodstuff may have to maintain a big family and earn money by any means to support that family. But he himself is not offered than what he can eat. And sometimes he eats the remnants that are left after his family members are fed. Even by earning money by unfair means, he cannot enjoy life for himself. That is called the covering illusion of Maya. So our attachment makes us act in certain sinful ways, for which only we will be responsible. Only we will have to suffer the reactions. The process of illusory service to society, country, and community is exactly the same everywhere. The same principle is applicable even to big national leaders. A national leader who is very great in serving his country is sometimes killed by his countrymen because of irregular service. We can see, we have seen in history, that the leader of the country is assassinated. In other words, one cannot satisfy his dependents by this illusory service, although one cannot get out of the service because servant is his constitutional position. So we may say, no, I'm not a servant, I'm not a servant, I'm the master. But if we analyze what are our activities, we will see that we serve. We serve our parents, spouse, children, siblings, neighbors, friends, society, country, boss, employees, whoever we come across. We can't stop that because that is what is inherent in us. A living entity is constitutionally part and parcel of the Supreme Being, but he forgets that he has to render service to the Supreme Being and diverts his attention to serving others. This is called Maya. So Maya, our material life, we say, I'm gonna serve everyone else except God. I don't want to serve God. Who is he? Why should I serve him? Instead, I'm going to serve my pet. I'm going to serve myself, my senses. When we say myself, means this body. We are serving this body. Because right now we are thinking we are the body. We have not yet begun to understand we are the soul. Or we may serve our mind, our senses, just because we want to rebel and we say we don't want to serve God. And that is material world. By serving others, he falsely thinks that he is master. We think we are a master, By keeping pets, we feel that I'm the master of the pet. But we can see we have to serve the pet so much, clean it, shave it, take it for a walk, feed it. So who's the master and who's the servant? The head of the family thinks of himself as the master of the family, or the leader of a nation thinks of himself as the master of the nation, whereas actually he's serving. And by serving Maya, he's gradually going to hell. So the leader of the country is the most prominent citizen of that country, the most powerful citizen of that country. So we may say, well, he's the master of the country. No, in fact, it means he has to serve all the citizens. He has to serve all the citizens of the country. Only then he is capable to occupy the post of being the ruler of the country. So, but then what happens in this bargain? What we are doing is we are serving Maya. By forgetting to serve Krishna, we are serving Maya. Therefore, a sane man should come to the point of Krishna consciousness and engage in the service of the Supreme Lord, applying his whole life, all of his wealth, his entire intelligence, and his full power of speaking. So one may say, why should I give my life for Krishna? But because if our life is given to us by Krishna, so it rightly belongs to him. We may say, no, it's my life. But the body is given to us by him. He can take it away at any moment. So how can we say it belongs to us? At any moment, any part of our body can stop functioning when we lose control over it. Then how can we say we are the owner of it? Even our life breath, it's in Krishna's hand. So all of our wealth, we may say, but it's my wealth. Why should I share it with Krishna? We say it's my wealth, but everything belongs to Krishna. And he's allowing us to use a certain portion of his wealth. And that's the case. Intelligence, we may say, I'm intelligent, and this intelligence is mine. Why should I engage it in Krishna's service? Krishna says that I am the intelligence of the intelligent. He says that in the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, that from me comes remembrance, knowledge, forgetfulness. He says, I'm the intelligence of the intelligent. So whatever gifts we have received from Krishna, we need to engage it in his service. And that is the proper utilization of the gift. Full power of speaking. Whole day we like to talk. Sometimes our talks get us into a lot of trouble. But this power of speaking is given to us so that we can chant the glories of Krishna. That's the reason we have been given. But we misuse it by speaking so many things, and many times we just put ourselves in trouble by speaking. So continuing to read, Vartayam Lupayamanayam Arabdhayam Puna Puna Lobha Bibhuto Neha Sattva Pararthe Kurute Svraham. When he suffers, reverses in his occupation. He tries again and again to improve himself. But when he is baffled in all attempts and is ruined, he accepts money from others because of excessive greed. So Lord Kapila Dev is speaking of a person who's too attached. He's too attached to his family life and he's not able to understand everything else. So he is saying such a person, when he's not able to make money, what does he do? He then takes from others. Kutumba Bharat Na Kalpo Manda Bhagyo Rito Dyamaha Shriya Vihina Kripano Dhyayancha Siti Muddadihi. Thus the unfortunate man, unsuccessful in maintaining his family members, is bereft of all beauty. He always thinks of his failure, grieving very deeply. Now, because he's not able to maintain himself and his family, then he is restless. Evam swavarana kalpam tat kalatradyastatha nadriyante yatha purvam kinasha eva gojaram. Seeing him unable to support them, his wife and others do not treat him with the same respect as before. Even as miserly farmers do not accord the same treatment to their old and worn out oxen. Not only in the present age, but from time immemorial, no one has liked an old man who is unable to earn in the family. Now in Kali Yuga, of course, it is more prominent. Oh, you're old, you're useless. You're not needed. But it seems even earlier ages, it was like that. Even in the modern age, in some communities or states, the old men are given poison so that they will die as soon as possible. In some cannibalistic communities, the old grandfather is sportingly killed and a feast is held in which his body is eaten. Oh my. So abominable. The example is given that a farmer does not like an old bull who has ceased to work. Similarly, when an attached person in family life becomes old and is unable to earn, he is no longer liked by his wife, sons, daughters, and other kinsmen, and he is consequently neglected. What to speak of not being respected? So the poor guy, he engaged his whole life, his whole energy in maintaining his family. And now, because he's old and he's unable to maintain his family, they don't want to respect him even. It is judicious, therefore, to give up family attachment before one attains old age and take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should employ himself in the Lord's service so that the Supreme Lord can take charge of him and he will not be neglected by his so-called kinsmen. So that's the reason the Vedic society, it was as we go through life, first is brahmachari, then grahast, get married. Then once the family duties are finished, then vanaprasth. Then don't stay attached to the family. Don't just live at home, but leave the house, go to pilgrimages, go to places of pilgrimage, develop Krishna consciousness. Because if you're sitting at home, you're anyway not going to get respect from the family members. And that is really very hurtful, very hurtful. So at the vanaprastha stage, the wife can go along with the husband. The wife can go. It's only at the sannyas stage where the man has to completely cut connection with the wife. But at the vanaprastha stage, then the decision is made. Okay, now we are going to engage more in cultivating spiritual knowledge. Hearing, chanting, associating with devotees, like that. So that is the natural course which was given to us. But in Kali Yuga, we don't follow it. We don't follow it at all. But this is what is needed, that, okay, once your family duties are finished, you don't have so much, you engage, you cultivate your spiritual life, because soon you have to give up this body. So it is in our interest that we do this, take up spiritual life, engaging, hearing and chanting. So did anyone have any comments, questions? If no, then we could stop here for today. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shilpa Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for listening and enjoying it.